of refuge are indicating basically up until enlightenment achieved, one is engaging in this practice of going for refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. So this is showing a dimension of hope, in a sense, a dimension of the aspiration. And it's from the depths of one heart, and that one uses and goes for refuge with one body, speech, and mind in these three objects of refuge. And so one can first think of the first object of refuge, which is the Buddha. The Buddha is the one who has showed us the path. And today, as he is the one who has shown us the path, today we decide to follow this path, to take the steps necessary in this path which has been indicated and showed to us by the Buddha. And although the Buddha has showed the path, the actual path, in the sense, or the actual practice to be done, second jewel, which is the Dharma jewel, which is, in the sense, the actual path to be engaged in. And this refers to the truth of cessation and the truth of the path, which are what are going to guide us in our spiritual practice. And then the last object of refuge refers to the Sangha, which is also can be called the Supreme Assembly, which is basically these beings which help us engage in a correct sequence of practice, and they are beings in which we can rely upon in order to ensure our progression in our spiritual journey.
Odessey, ane ta tsikon tamani te, ta dagi juso jibi tsunen Lola panche sanji tribar shose. Ta tindigi ya, jawi kunjo samli ya, ane jab sunju, di ji salam ne susu ga ta chik. Ane da gewi tsawa sinanta ta chi li zangi chi tindi li zangbo kanda chi sa yo na tido tsangma de susu chigwe che ta mayin ban Lola panche siyon de ta sinchen tamche ane tindi ta chik pento ya ane sanje kongpong li ya ane chik joto ya tindi tende ya ta susu kanlong tindi singo le chugo yo resi malam jaya de teres tamate.
And so the second last lines of this verse of refuge: by the merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentients. These verses follow the initial sort of going for refuge in the three jewels, which is the root, and then afterwards is this kind of a mention and the dimension of the motivation in relation to the actions, the virtuous actions which have been accumulated, which are then sort of dedicated and offered to all sentient beings. So this kind of widens the motivation for it to be able to encompass the benefit of us, in a sense, and go beyond the sort of selfish tension.
Yeah, nani ta tindi ne ta ani ngona kolon chuya da tindi de pe ki chumbu yimba jawe koncho samle ya tindi che de ki chumbu yimba tindi ko le kacha de ta shebe kable yana ta de ngo zo namji ta tiwa mo bo shile ngor ta kharche ne koncho samle ya japsu choku re and de chi ngo zo yinzu ani koncho samgu ji sindang go ya de ta chi ta kala ore da chi ani tim ro shi re de chi da chi kala ore da kasiti koncho samgu ji samandang na yang de digwa chimbu sa ga re we ta kare se ta counter tindi ani kacha de lewe kable ina ta nga so tiri ne Geshe tang tes ndiwa ni chang go re te kan re song de ta nga so chi ani chedang tesum se ya de tesum de ani ta chi de ani tesum de le ya ani tesum korang ga gani kacha she na tesum de ya de diga de re se kacha yo ma re tesum korang le ya da diwa ni ge cha yong go yo re ta yang ani korang yang ne tang ga wang ge ya tesum ka shi nga so le ya pen do ya tesum ka shi ge ni chi tesum de ge ta nga so le yang tes no kyunsen na so so ga ni chi langan ji an doya le yang tes ni kek che tindi ki chane tanda ani diri nga chu josi tan rewan de tindi chi cha yong res.
And so in this context of going for refuge in the three jewels, which is a very important practice, one can sort of question the need, in a sense, and question, why does one need to go for refuge? Why is this important? Is it some kind of law? Is it some kind of obligation? Do I accumulate negativity if I don't do this? So when these questions tend to arise, I think this is very much sort of in tune with the topic that we're covering today, which is doubt, also known as afflictive doubt. But doubt known as, simply doubt is very neutral. There can be doubt which is positive, there can be doubt which is negative. Doubt is whether it's beneficial, it's very situational. It depends upon the situation. In some situations it can help us, in other situations it can harm us. It can also be something that to go along a path or kind of move forward. Doubt can be an obstacle. Again, it can block our path. So I thought in this context, actually, these questions in relation to refuge here and with the topic that we're going to cover today are very much connected.
야, 다 대용데 데리다가 주 가르세나. 다 지용가 수에네. 단다 강래야 넘버 수 되니 텐스 그래. 아니 가서 전유틱에 아니 마시비 갑래야. 다 당보도 저 컨트롤가 제 마릭바. 아니 어디서지 대당가 주 남지 무세네. 지기 미치가 무세 나래야나. 대 마보시 소설의 냠뇽요 아시나다. quand te wange sosole ya ta chi nyonsori na ta kangan de mambo che de ya do sinanda te sarban do chungbu shi nga sole ya ta chi nyonson na yong de ya tinde gi chane te zo zanyo re na tab de won de shi ta ina de te zum nyomon chen se ta te zum na ge te zum chi bu la yo mare ti kable ya te zum nyomon chen se te garchin zanyo na ta yo kam ti te zum se ga shi de le ngro te kan ji le gre se on de ta te dang chen ni ta tiring ne chi te zum se ya de ambition ga ta rum kan ni 태섬세야 돼 간대샤고 되래 양의 착간데 되어 예완도 간대 뒤의 제례다 아니 텔레마치 태섬데 간대시마 도건두세 딘디 간네마 아니 칸투투세 다딩아 조양치 초진에 소소로 정원듯이 바 간실래야 지 메세나래 되던 펜토다 뇌다 가르가란데 착도 딘디 간데 지 소소 칸투투스 마지에 딘디 바춘시 지기스
And so in this context of studying mental factors, up until now we've been looking at the category of the 6 sort of root afflictions. So we've gone through attachment, we've covered anger, we've covered ignorance, and so all of these ones which I've just mentioned, they are actually very much something that we have experiences of in our daily life. It's very clear to us how these different afflicted state of minds bring about problems and make difficulties in our daily life. And now we get into afflictive doubt. And so now it's the question, how is afflictive doubt? How does it fit into this category? Why is it one of the 6 root afflictions? And we're going to explore the sort of, in relation to doubt, the kind of how it can help, how it can harm. And specifically here, we're talking about afflictive doubt. What does this actually mean? There are various divisions of this. How does it affect our mind? Does it play out? How can we stop it? And mainly, how does it harm us? And how does it prevent us sort of accomplishing positive things in our daily life as well? And I'll do my best to explain this.
야, 테니 다 드링 안디마 아니 시에데 주 아니 데센도 다 누가도 차도도 담보데 태솜세야데 간데지 원지지 담보데로 테니마 태솜레 뇽몬지 바임바니 테니마 니 난생게 니 돈주르 돈문지르세 찬냠바세 틴디카체요레 타마델레 남베 아니지 아니 다접간에 태솜 간데지 도고요레세 다디 간에 다규슈야데 지반도레 다데용데 담보 태솜세야데 다 나비숑가 나나 태솜세야 돼. 아니 다치 랑예라 랑톱기세시. 코랑 유전디 아니 삼로티 가르잖아. 코랑가 톱춤부 코랑 랑기 톱기 젤레데 바 직제. 랑톱기 젤레데 가서가 삼로 남지니 이제 즉 타촌로 다다체 마타와 삼로니 거데야시. 용고도 와땡가 좀 세나 마보신 거래. 대게 징게데 주 젤레 용케 센종직 어디에 런토진 타니스토비 젤리젠이 센종세시 어다데요 지단이 될 거네요 데스남비 다르그 양치 개발소의 양디나레 데스 센종 이버트 고그레 고마레 셈스야 샤초르 초마리 소바 용고레 다데스 가서 미시인데스 예문들어 단단데 소 가르세는 안에 센종 ರಂ가 강레 데리가서디 안에 딘 만조션나 야도 되onde 코랑게 젤리소데 가르세는 가서 삼로데 아니 타쳐본도 다다시 용마 퇴야 남지 삼로시 거기도 어때 저거데 센종티 젤리 직제 다텐도 어때가 좀 세나네 간지 고그래 대고야 간지 고야 요래 아니 대 딘디 삼로 가서 타쳐라 마쳐라 즉 똑바로 mambo지 레고야 내가 저래 펜도 가리래 yana ti kyun kari chigre ti nga so kari go gre se ta tiwa de lesigra hina ta nambi ta tab gani so de korangi senjong korang wo de tere.
Yes. And so in relation to doubt here, we're going to look at the definition of doubt, then we're going to go through the division. So we have afflictive doubt and we have non-afflictive doubt. Then we have a doubt which is sort of the one which is sort of closer to the meaning or closer to reality, and then there's one which is on, which is further away in a sense to the meaning or further away from the reality, and then there's one which is the doubt which is kind of standing in the middle of these two senses between what's right or wrong. And then within that there is going to be a presentation. The final point will be within Buddhist philosophy, how do we eliminate this type of doubt? In relation to the definition of doubt, it is the definition of doubt is, by the power of doubt, it focuses, it has an object, which it observes on an object, and by the power of doubt, it makes the mind sort of split in two. It divides the mind in two, where the mind is not able to take one side or the other. It's not able to develop some kind of 100% certainty on one side or the other. Yeah, this kind of split mind, which is created by the doubt. Okay. And so there is some discussion in Buddhist philosophy whether doubt is a mental factor or not. So we're not going to go down this debate road. We're going to just focus on consider doubt as being a mental factor. And let's consider doubt as this inability of certainty, unable to be certain about something. We can also discuss how we need to eliminate doubt in our everyday life, and how doubt creates a lack of clarity within one's mind, how it creates sort of what are the faults of doubt and so forth, within the whole sort of context of studying doubt as a mental factor.
Yeah, ane yang ti deshe ta namjinga so tesum se de ta chama ge yang de nyong so na yo de shire tang woni de karre se yang chi diwan ro tin ro na ma so de korang rang ge gang le ya chi tang woni chen nyab jam ro ti ni che yo sari ma rang ten de ro ti kan de se na pe na tesum se de karre se on de namjing tan di no le lo ane ta ni su to ba se yang yong zha le ya chi kar de lo zhe ni ba le ge lo de le zhe ni yong jo de shi 아니 초치 다다마인 바 초니 연조를 같이 다 딘디 네 같이 쉐 갑레나 다디 뭐니 가래 로치그레 로니레스 데레다 대솜세도 뭐니 로치그레 로니레 아니 로치그레소나 아니 양나 다 초치 콜렌 증게 차니와 강시라 로먼다 니냠도 동네 대솜세 고그레 양나 로치기 인상 간데레세 다디 강레 양가 아니 양 똑바세 거난다 딘디 양 아니 소소양 기반으로 제 용적이다 빼는 거 소치 다데 인사레 양나데 파쇼데 인사레 마레세 다 삼로니 용고여데 파쇼 이나 디니 티치글 요레베 양나 납치레베 납치 인선의 로치 자그 말어 로치기 못하메로 다 티치글 요새는 가서 남지 다 뇽하나래야 냠뇽가 나가 같이시나 티치글 용화세데 가보르 자그도 빼나 파쇼레 미칭 저거나 티소소 뭐시바데 레 마레스 뭐 당보치 그래도 양나 마레스 삼베 삼로 레다 마레세 삼로니 등 합칠랭게 도시 소소 뇽소나 레기도 대용데 다 태솜세도 뭐니 가르레스 아니 다 대양 아주 정말 그 살로 당고야 시기래도
So in relation to doubt, we all have a lot of experience with doubt, that's for sure. And the question here which arises, which is kind of quite important thing to explore, is in relation to, like I mentioned, doubt is this two-point mind, yeah? It's this kind of mind which is split in half in relation to two subjects, kind of swinging back and forth between two sort of ideas. And so because of this sort of split aspect, or this two-pointed aspect of doubt, the debate which arises, the questioning which arises is this one mind or is it minds? Yeah. Are we talking about one which has the doubt? So one mind has two objects in a sense, two objects that it's observing in that sense. or is it two separate minds, because when we're doubting about something, we think, oh, maybe it could be this, or maybe it could be that, and we have these two thoughts, and so the question is, is it one mind which is holding both of these thoughts, or is it a thought which is coming one after the other? Is there a sequence, is there a previous one, then a following one, then we go back to the previous one, and so forth. And so what the question here is to try and, we can all think about it when we observe somebody, down the street, and we're trying to identify them. We think, oh, maybe it's this person. We think, oh, no, maybe it's that person. So if we think about it with this example, it seems quite clear that there is a sequence, that there first we have one thought, then we have the other, then we have another thought, and so forth. And so we're swinging back and forth in this manner. And so this is something which seems like quite a valuable reflection to have in relation to doubt and what it is.
Yeah, 다 삼로 다행으로 기바치안으로 된디 요사리 땡그도로 대치시 다데네 니바데 강라 다 디리 기다네네 저 조심원네데 가르세는 녀몬체가 대솜세야 전윤적인 나장데야 데레다 대솜세야 나가 녀몬체가 대솜들 다디 아니 마니 쇼촌나 마타온데 대칸데레송데 아니 다페는 덴바시당 레진데 딘디지라 무니야 타니 스토바세도 다 딘디카체시 페나 안다니나마 나시치네 덴바 데니 콜라 테솜사와세네 덴바시 콜라 테솜사 달레네 아니 린데 남샤 콜라 테솜사 테나시 타기 공시와나시 콘조 잠네다 진디 콜레야 야니자와 딘디르네 딘디르 테솜실이야 아니 뇨모체게 테솜세 같이듯이 아니 다 중국어래 다 디르 테솜사나 가르쳐 그래서 근데 디 아니 다 딘디르 테솜사온데 수수가 냠레세나다 딘디 게베 차발은 지발라 깨치고래세 딘디 가차식 중국어 어르타트 수테레 아니 게베 차와 총련 지발이야다 깨치그래세 페나다 덴바니 남상도 아니 가차시 갑레나 다 덴바니 남상세야데 컨디션나 다 팅원이 나 메나세야도 다양치 다테치 아니 원이 펜토 연조시나 멘조시나 서섬거 다 지용거 담보 강레나 담보직 아니 가서 그렇다 대 컨디션에 메나스메 도바다사 초그라 담보 콜로 경치 갑리나 다데 아니 딘디 사무 쇼까지 쉬고 말 딘데 아니 태som딩 예버데 고요래 요르다이나 다치 소소 강 토토시 베기티 강레 제파치 타마들레 티강레 양아수 콤바시 뻔네지 로경 가레나니 아니 다 자와지 체네로 아니 가르 장들 체네 로고요라 단 드로이셴베 까블레야 태som께 되나 당아 준 줘야 돼 베기 다 내가 간지는 게치 그래서 돈당으로 딘디지리다 다 게웨 초레나 게웨 초레 당보 대원이 펜토에지 메 펜토에지 인다 멘세 당보 테마 당보세 거나데 아니 개방에 버치 고레 태som딩에 버키 침보차르 다소서 개방 컨토도 제 타마들레 다치 아니 가레나 티강이야 소소거지 아니 다 게사 두비아이난다 양나 곰냠레 체이난다 양나 소소거지 아니 니레게 초이 자실레카이나 가레이나요 마초치 카운터디 강레야 제바 카운터도 제 타말레야 레카시 체고요레 내가 제 갑레이나 대좀사데나 다 딜레카도 용와레 케치 그레세 다 돈다로 오디니시리 다 몽보샤스디 티네도지 강레는 단단디 녀모쟁에 대솜세야 되기 티니까 셰시 중고요레데
So in relation to here afflictive doubt, how it's qualified or described in the literature, it's for example, it's a type of so it's a mental factor which has this quality of had this two-sided mind, kind of mind split down the middle when it observes the object of cause and effect, when it observes the four truths, and so forth. So here, this afflictive doubt is particularly in relation to having doubt and I guess uncertainty in relation to the four truths, in relation to cause and effect. There is the doubt of cause and effect, the doubt of the four truths, the doubt of the two truths, the doubt in relation to the three jewels. And so why is it here we're talking specifically about afflictive doubt? Because this type of doubt here is preventing us from engaging in the practice. Yeah, it's preventing us from engaging in virtue. It's creating a barrier or an obstacle in a sense to our practice. So the initial presentation of the two truths, and one is, first of all, presented to the two truths. It's very important and very useful to have this questioning, thinking whether the two truths are, is this presentation actually correct? Is it false? Is it useful? And this type of critical mind at the beginning is very, very important and very valuable to have. So the initial, basically, approach to these types of topic must be analysis. And once the analysis is complete, once the analysis is complete, one must be able to walk and put into practice what one has actually realized. Yeah, one needs to be able to make those first steps, because if, on the other hand, one has started, engaging on a path, and then starts to have doubt, and the person is going to stop, is going to freeze, and not going to be able to go any further in that sense. So this is why first the analysis is important, because we're able to determine whether something is of value or not, whether it's good or not in that sense. And then afterwards, we're able to commit some kind of, we need to engage in action. We need to be, active in a sense. So whether it's engaging in virtue, whether it's doing meditation, or whether it's any type of sort of daily activity, there needs to be a sort of engagement in this action. And if during this action we have doubt, then everything stops in a sense. Everything is kind of held up in a sense. So this is why here we're talking specific about afflictive doubt.
Yeah, not indeed. That Tandelian Loish is that's what Harrison was in the door. Tandati Tesomde, Maso, Ichumbodo, Sigwaya, the country chagres, Pena the Chitani Maso Lega, the Karina Chigene, Chile Cablina, Chawa condition Chiwi Cablina, Tambo Maso, and Yiparte Chick Susongoni, Kebakan, Toto Chegua, the Pehachin kitchen, that thing when they got the Karchin and Digna Madigna says. The Tesomde and then non-bishung and only at the big chewing, but in the sunshine, you're patching it. There's the wall about Chile, which is Anne Yinayan touching some of Susu and the Kibachi and some Jure and the Tantame, but Kibachi Togumar, the counter Sama, Tamboning also Sebo Sejan Chayashi in Martati, and the Kibachi de Lian, Chich Mato, and so the Chik Soso Namchuk Mandans in a counter Tinti Mamboshito. Tindicha on the young and Mamboshing as you shake on in Drogway Mamboshore, so count to the Kebachi, Tijeleda, Tini Tachi, and a Keba in Anda, Yanachi Sosoga Tachi, and a Yishi Sagata, Lama in Anda, Tindiga, Yaya, Tindi Tukdona, Tini Sanjeda, Tinashinga Tachi, and a Tankeba Mambo, Molia Sonshaya. What Tindi Koso Sonshayate, Tanda Soso, Chima Chensing, Tindi Makona, Koso Sonat, and only Yichin Rochin. That is all a test of Sadena, Koso Son Coronia, and this was and a Lobion Chair Coronia, and Giala Keche Dora. Tion de, and a Yichich and a Gillian Drogoya, Mambo Shingores.
So it's important to not undermine the value of doubt, and before one engages in an action, to actually go through this process of analysis to be able to understand whether it's worthwhile for us to engage in something or not, in a sense, yeah. And so, but it's also important to be able to consider that analysis, in that sense, has some kind of limit. There is a kind of sort of a boundary as to how much we can analyze, and it's pretty much impossible to have 100% clarity after analysis. We have this limitation. We have the limitation of our intelligence and so forth. So there's a certain moment where faith comes into play. Yeah, and so this is referring particularly. So we have this first step of analysis. Yeah, we examine, we analyze, and then afterwards we are sort of we decide to follow, basically. We follow the path of previous scholars, we follow the paths of our spiritual mentors, we follow the path of other wise beings or Buddhas and so forth. So there's an element of faith. After an analysis has been completed, then we engage in faith. And this means that actually our doubts will no longer be an obstacle in our spiritual practice, because if we're not able to have faith in these beings, and this means that we will have, because we don't have faith, this means we have doubt, and therefore that means that we will not be able to engage in these spiritual practices. We'll be kind of stuck at that point.
Yeah. Ngonjir se rik tsue chi ane ta da jinse mambo sablo tang mangwe chi kapti nga tsu ta ane samlo se na da shiba yurdu le to ya tindi rik chi kim go re te ma yin ba ge ta chi kojir se shi namji ane de she kojir le yang ri ni che ne ane chongse kojir ta shin de kojir se tindi rik ni che wo ta chongse kojir ta chi nambi ta rub gang she ta che chongse kojir rik ro na ane ta da jinse rik ba ge dum ne Pagilia, ane tonda de toya la pendo de shinguyor. Ta ina shin de koje kurxia yang chik chigre. Dendro ina mambo shinga zu ta pena ane chi ane ta nyamlen ba ta keba da yang na ane sanje de song ja song de ya ngo le ya ne ka nga su ichi ran che ni jogo ya. Ti ichi ma che na ane kapti ane ngo sam ge toya da pasha ane rigba ye dubya me jo. Tindi mambo yang cha cha ne samba ze chigre. Geshe ne sumse nambi tatrub gani shacha dele ne sum changde ne samba ro ina ne tanga zu iche chene tindi sonsha de iche chene ne kawla le iche ranche han so so nyamlen da tindi lobjong chi rembe yang chona te de yang ta nyere sere joya yoba ji o tindi changde thoma iche ranche ne jo goya ji ma to ta dele ya ne thesum sa ne de na ane so so di jawa dele jiya le ke chen joya tindi rig mambo shin gore 이나요 단단히 강하게 네 시대야 단단 덴바니 있어야 돼 덴바시 딘디 딱 안에 단단 콘조스 전에 콘조스 딘디 남자서 망체 남비타도 그리고 그 토야 자체 니니바 나로레 마도 네스바데 같이 말했어 딘디시 아이슈나데스
And so in relation to this doubt, another thing which comes to mind is thinking about these three types of phenomena. There are three types of phenomena which are sort of evident, or in a sense manifest, and there are phenomena which are hidden. And the manifest phenomena, these are referring to phenomena which can be perceived directly. We don't really need any type of reflection. They don't require any type of analysis, something which can be perceived in a direct manner. And then as for the second type, which are hidden phenomena, these are further divided into phenomena which are, which are slightly hidden, and then phenomena which are, completely or very, very hidden phenomena in a sense. So as slightly hidden phenomena, these are phenomena which we can sort of gain an understanding of them through analysis by using different low reasoning, by using different valid signs and logical reasoning. And then the second, which is very hidden, these are referring to phenomena which cannot be sort of understood or proved by a logical mind. They cannot be directly perceived either. So these are actually, this is information or teaching which is provided to us by practitioners or adepts or the Buddha, and we actually need to have faith in the presentations that they're giving us. It's not something which can be proven or asserted with a logical mind. It doesn't work that way. They're not established through logical reasoning in a sense. So for this third type of phenomena, which is the very hidden phenomena, these actually require an actual practice, and in a sense, and the study of the material and engaging in the practice. And through this engagement of practice, one is actually able to gain clarification. And so the clarification arises through the practice of these instructions. But here, in this context of the definition and these different divisions here of what doubt is, I've talked about the doubt of the two truths, the doubt of the Four Truths, the doubt in the Three Jewels. These are all kind of falling more into the sort of category of phenomena which can be logically sort of analyzed and sort of proven in a sense.
ane te mache nan tigo mare se ya tindi kache ta mare ta ina yang kare se ngde tindi yang samsang nga su ichen de chen ro ma to na yang su su chik le kan chi ma so na le kan ga ro ya do tindi ma bo shin go do pe na chi tsering na le tindi ma bo shi do tres tsering nga man ke pa ane tindi song sha ya tindi korang ga ten la pap sha yo re se ta te sang ina ti ji len ro de ya ma do ma bo shi ge ta de tindi nge ko nyo ice stand ro ina korang ga song sha ya te ta korang ge song ang woni de te sang ti gang le pa che tsering ba kashi la na ta korang ge sheba na shin te sang ani ha kong ge yo ma re se ro tindi ka shi ge do ta ina ta korang ge ne ten la pap sha ya ti gang le yang ani chang man ro ne yi chen ro che ti gang le yang ane ta le ka che ka le yang le ka ma bo chum de to ma bo to yong go ra mo tin ne ro nga so yang sam sam le so so go pa ge le yang se bo ma to na yang ane ta kozo ge namsha kozo ma she sha ti ta le du ro che ne na counter ti kozo ge chi pe na mi ching le ya ane kang chim bu shi na le ya kom ba je ro go na ane mi ching le ro sham ba chang ma ti ji le ya ro go ya te korang kang ba ka wa sin ti le ya ti kor kang ba shi te le ya zin ro na yang ma bo shi pen to do te ko ya ma ane ji ma do ya pe na nga chun ro ya nga ma ya ane pe le ya yong e kap le na tang bo nga chu le lam chi chi yo lam chi de korang nge le ro nga chu mi nyam de me ji chi si yo re korang nge le ro kang gi na le korang ga kang ba ane ka wa sin nga chu te le sin ro ko yo ten ro ya da khare se na ane ko ane ya ma ane khar so ra ta nga chu korang le yi che che korang ge ane lam ton ro che ja de kang le yan ro sha na yang pen to pe ma bo ji khar se na ya ma so so le ninga ma bo ji ne tro to ya de chi to ta ten ro tan da ngo le ya lam ton che ja chu wi yang pe na tseri ki chong ne na re na chi ta to ku chong na te mai bi chu li dra ma da ten ke pa pe tin di chu li ke tong ba po ma bo ji ro ko so 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 ge ne nam sha ji ton sha ti ji li ya so so ge kam da mu ba ka ra la ga bo yo na ti ji li ya kan to to so so ge dang bo yi chen ro ji tin ni ro to na ti so so ma se na ka nga ma bo shi li ya pen to ko do ta nga zo te som ro chang ja sa ta te khan de na te ang ka re na se tin di che de na so so ge ya chi se bo shi ya ta te so ma yin ba so so ge yang te lo se lang ga se bo shi ya so ma to ane lam to na sha ti gang le yang do ma to tin ni ro ti pari ni chi ma bo shi han ro ya shi ngo do ma ta ting ti shon ro cha su ti pari ti.
So what I'm saying here is not that you need to believe, you must believe this or you must believe that. This is not actually what the point I'm trying to get at when discussing doubts and afflictive doubt, yeah? So, but the point I am trying to get at is that without faith or confidence, you're not able to move forward, yeah? This really blocks us from moving forward. And we can see in a sense that if we think whether in the scientific community, for example, Einstein, there are a lot of scientists which are unable basically to fathom his way of thinking, his perspective on the world. Even nowadays, they're unable to kind of follow through with his ideas, for example. And there are a lot of situations where if we have this kind of leap of faith, lots of things become clearer as we go along, in a sense. And so, for example, when we were, if one is walking in the snow and somebody's walking ahead of us, it's, we can put our feet in their footsteps, in a sense. And this makes me think of when I traveled over to India from Tibet. There was about 40 of us, and we had a guide, and the guide was walking ahead. And we all put our foot in his footsteps. And we, reaped great benefit from this. And we had a lot of faith and confidence in this person to guide us. And the benefit we got from it was being from Tibet in that sense. And so it's the same with the previous paths which have been set up by ancient scholars, whether these scholars are from a religious tradition or not, whether from a scientific community or whatever. They all have given us different presentations, different paths, which are adjusted to different mental dispositions, different capacities. Yeah. And so this is very important to kind of bear this in mind. But the difficulty with us is that on a day-to-day basis, we tend to be stuck in this kind of a questioning of what's this and what's that, and I don't know about this and I don't know about that. And it seems to kind of remain in this unclear kind of ground, an unclear plane. And on top of that, although things become unclear, we tend to go down, in the end, down the wrong path and kind of get lost along the way. And this is all sort of due to sort of confusion in relation to doubt and so forth.
So Dondan the Quaresan, Tanda di Kong Lucia Nashinke, Nambi Tatum Nani, Tanda Tsuish Timbanis and Timbasha, Tatindi Linde Namsha, Anetini Achik, Ane Tachi Kansachi, Susu, Tande Nepamni Achik, Ane, Susu Nyamling Ramba Mamboji, Lamka Ramba Mamboji Soni, Tamalaya, Susu, Tachik Dinger Tamsha Pang, Tindi. Any chicken to say langan was in a mud, Tindig, touch Tamla Momboji Tenshaeva. Tesoria, Tesum Satena, Tindig, any chick give it Chawatelia, Ketchik raise, Tindig, that Tesum Gilia, and do the nut under the cover shed, Tesum Yumonchezete, Teschico, and given on a Janguete, Tindig Chani Tansha Yushires.
So related to this afflictive doubt, the mention of the afflictive notion here is mentioned to, like I mentioned, to cause and effect, to the two truths, and so forth, because this afflictive doubt, what it's preventing us to do is to engage in these different presentations of sort of methods and ways to eliminate suffering. Presentations of causality, the presentation of truths are ways for us to abandon suffering. And so having this type of doubt in relation to these topics is preventing us from engaging in virtue, and this is why it is therefore stated as a negative type of doubt.
Tatanti Penzoji Gong Shina Taki Gong Lake, Jushi. Penane, Michi Soso, and Echi Jondo Saga. Ane Sacheli and Jokoyana. Ane that Lamdele, Tesum Janjas and Tetena, Kandishi means some Tesum San Jotena, Satena, Sosun Rogas Sachet Tata in Lematuish. Tindi Ketchik Resendo, or Tinder what Antandi Taki Gong Shiva Nashinga. Ane Sosoga Tanyamle in Anta, Sosoga Chick give each other in the counter Sosoga, Shawa Chinto by Rikande in a Telia, Toma de la Keba neighbor to check or Keba Chets Gilia, that Sosoga Keba Che, Tad Chicarsore. Tama dele Tachi Teso Macheni Tigan like Comba Pogoyanch, or the Nishi Machena, Soso Muit and Drugu Mares, Tandan di Cavlia, Nengan de Tat Nidiji Ganma, and his son digre.
And so this example here, which is in relation to if there's a place where we want to dive, or path that we want to take, then if we are stuck in sort of doubt, and we're not really sure as to where our arrival point should be or where we wish to go, then we're not, there's no way we're going to walk along this path. This doubt is completely going to freeze us in our steps, completely stop us in our in this process of moving forward. And so here this kind of example is meant to illustrate our engagement in practice, engaging in virtuous action. And so the first step is an important step of analysis, what one wants to do, and to try and sort of understand the situation at most. And then after the analysis is done, one needs to make steps. One needs to take the steps to be moving in that direction. Still just remains in this phase of doubt, then there is no sort of progression which occurs in a sense.
Yeah. What did you call the Antavani Loboy knew the Golia, Tanga so chick. So the Muirton Jabalia cake to Sumures at this Sonshire, and Jokanalia. Take Ares in a penna, Tambo de Penna Sosun Drog was a Yirchi in a pen to Yana, Tele and Drundo in Mena, and take Chigres, Tambo Drundo Meate. Penada Soso which any Chawas in a Chawati Chendo Meba, and a Chicomdo in under Lob join a Chendo Meba take Tambo de Chip. Ta Nipa de Penna Sosun Drog was a langash in a Langa de Tatan Manura Jicogrema, the Langa Norsona, no Susu Muir de, and Karzorta Leguasa till Letu Maresia, Susu Muir to Maresia, kicking Nibadre. 다 somebody tan dro ane drondo yo tambo drondo che ane dine pa langa lando de kabchi ya thezom sane ta khande na samsam ga thezom sane dindi yu ya ane dindi che de na so so pa shon do sa ta da de le tu mare se thezom ze de ke ane so chi na ge mo tan da ke somebody dindi chi sha yores.
And so in the presentation of the Abhidhamma by Vasubandhu, he discusses three sort of obstacles, three main sort of elements which contribute to doubt, yeah, and how that sort of creates a blockage in one's progression. So the first one will be the initial sort of lack of wish or lack of desire to go somewhere. So let's say we're trying to get somewhere, but actually we don't really want to go there. Then, you know, that's going to be the first obstacle on our way to be able to reach that destination if there's a lack of a will in that sense. And so this can be applicable to, you know, not wanting to meditate, not wanting to study, and so forth. The second sort of a condition which is adverse, yeah, which is so sort of supportive in a sense to doubt, is going down a mistaken path. Yeah, so we actually do want to go somewhere, but we're going down the wrong path. And in a sense, because we're going down the wrong path, we're never going to reach the destination. So this is a second type of negative condition in a sense. And the third one will be a doubt which comes about when one is actually on the path. So we're on the path, there is a wish, we've gone down the right path, but when we're on the path, we start to have doubts. Yeah, so this is another sort of obstacle in a sense to this progression.
Yeah. That the parting like that is Nyoman check what chick. Then it and Nyoman Chamaim betisum say, Nambi Shung and young tepe, and a Chitani kitchen bush, and it Sisha Yoretaki only should say. Tambo Mazu like a country chin, Tesum Legion chick go graze at under Lopo Chinchoke. Candice in the conscience chick to in the Tesum Legion chick churros. Down Pena and chick Susuga ne. Perché tonda nyala ya ne tambo tesum de kare ina mena sama tesum de singi par chik shindo de se shuro tingi par go res kare ina mena ti kole ya tokba chile go tokba chile sone ti wange ne ching keba zo ne le ka chawa le pa jig do res ya ti ta ki kang le nge ne tesum chama te ane ta chik kyo ma res ya chi tesum mambo shinga so tambo tesum sa te kare ina mena sama tesum ti wange so so chawa le jig do ya Tindi mamboji yungurese, tanad jarkin kepa, and lobo chinjoga than his sunshire. Kanchin jite to any tesumli and chicturos.
Rupan Chuchuk. And so now that I've discovered afflictive doubt, we can think about non-afflictive doubt, which is actually very prominent and important in Buddhist literature. And so this is explained here by Dharmottara, who said, whatever so whatever sort of you know, sense here mundane activity you want to engage in, or whatever thing of the world you want to accomplish, yeah. If you have the sort of, how to say, enthusiasm to engage in something, worldly or non-worldly, first there is this step of doubt, and then after there is doubt, one engages in a sense. This is what this Dharmottara is saying. So the point here is that when we have doubt, it is something which can help us to engage in an action. It's something which will propel us to action, which will pull us to act, which will push us to act. And so this is what's presented here by this scholar.
Yeah, on the Kazangel also Sinjong Egelia. And control the Yinga, so in the shake Kabliana, the Kolonga, the Kajachore, Tambong also Yiches, Kugres, Yiche was your sona. Tachi Chidon de Kajashina Debare, Chidon Mandina, Yiche Kachet, Yiche Diona, Tijulia, Tijil, 2 years yet, and then Dilia, and a 20 years legres as she get it. 2 years to your son, Tijine, Suso Chaval and Chigalia, Sundi legres on the Tezum Jetina and Yiche Lego Mariche, Yiche the land ure. Ane yeche la sona tiene tonye kan damba male damba mena tini ti jis tangbe tsundi gu pege leka chawala musin chiku mare se tatu su ane nga su chik yama tsangma nrewa yo deya shik ngode yonde ta yang chokchik ne nga su yang tonye rite ta yang tesum nye gu pari de yang kande sin sam tata si sha go ma go se 디 대좀 돼요 다 대좀 아주 지나네 아니 지 에키바체 아시시 그래데 두 됐어
Karikiba shuri kana yanga suta
그냥
donye
담보 돈인듯이 배나 안에 제 도반도 오시 다때 제거나 메거나 세가 양 도바시 레그로 도바데랑 돈이 돈더니라 도바데다 양 대좀이 참으러 오시요 칸에 다다시 저소양 제단이 에다 로 맞소 로께 럼바지 상온데 로 강에 삼로 땅쪽 캬퍼테즈 원게 안에 돈이래 영화 대승은 대좀세 다기 공리 쉬어 나지 대좀세 되게 로 간데
ale
로 치글 샤고 니를 샤고 세야 싱그러와 어디서
lasso
상만 되어도 차대도
lasso hakus aha mm. Okay. So as we've been sort of exploring in the context of the mental factors with the previous mental factors, we went through these different categories, and one of the ones of which we explored was sort of confidence and faith. Yeah, so confidence in a sense of in a non-religious context, have this dimension of having confidence and faith in this more sort of religious dimension. Yeah, and so because we have this initial either confidence or faith, this will push us to have this wanting to exert effort towards something. We want to strive. Yeah, we want to put effort in something, and this is going to then push us to engage in enthusiastic effort. So there's a sequence here. There's a sequence of initial sort of confidence, which is bringing about sort of striving, which is then going to bring about this sort of enthusiastic effort to engage in something. Yeah, but if we lose out and we forget about the moment of confidence, or we forget about this initial mind of faith in the action, then the rest of the sequence won't come about. Without confidence, you cannot have this sort of, idea to strive towards something, and you will not have any sort of enthusiastic effort to engage in that action in the first place, because there won't be the initial sort of important aspect of confidence or faith in action or and what you want to achieve. And so it's an important process of going through analysis of what you wish to do, what you don't want to do. And it's interesting, and I think it's important to be able to set the sort of boundary between where you're actually able to make this decision of developing faith and then putting effort into something, or if you're just kind of remaining in this kind of unclear sort of doubt. Yeah, so there's a sort of important a moment which happens where this decision is kind of made, and I think it's quite sort of important to bring it to mind.
So 단대링에 아니 된다고시 다데 단다데 가르세나 단다데 남베 따접 그나래야 단다 태좀 가르 돈이르세야 돼 담보 태좀세야 돼 신도세야 태좀세야 그셔다기 강르시와 나신 티 태좀도 배 기침보시 찌그레 된 태좀세야 대 가르임은 그 똑바시 사고 그래세야 똑바 코로 마사나 아니 텔레레칼 주고 말해야지 대당 단다 체릭 강은 아니 대셰 잡당데 니가 다워다워 시긴 통데레 대 가르선에 체릭 지 레카 직벽에 아니 딱탑세도 다치 다체체거럼 지 가렌데지 있나 당보 아니 지 맞아 냐브주 체베 갑레나 당보 아니 베 또시 다시브세야시 직벽에야 지 똑바르지 좀 지금 통네 아니 지금 통네 대지 내 땅도 지금 통네 다텔이야 똑바르지 째니 디강래 디와체 디와치트 디와델라 테니 테니 제기질이야네 다 딘디 멘도세 소파르지 소파데 람던도 만도세 네체테테레도 소파체 당원바디디체 타말레시니 버기 디강래 안조고야 아니 딱시르세 디강 조고야 딘디 마르바시 용도 뭐 텐다고 가르세르세나 탄다 탐 남바서 가시디 소바딘디 소녀요레 소바츠에 갑레나요 당보 맞으니 지 똑바시 레고 디완시 레고 똑바시 그게 네도시 카라카리나 삼삼 그 똑바시레 똑바 텔라레네 대좀르시레네 텔라테네 티니 소반 지 남비 단단 남지 제댕 맞추 리글럼 텐데 소바츠에 갑라 당보 아니 지 똑바시레네 테네 텔야 디바시 티그리 디바시 트와티 고츠 단다디 세리그나레 디바시 그 아니 텐디 책도 텐도와체 지와디 니 제네 텔야네 담자게 단다 세르기나나 아니 초이샤세야시 다 코랑게 니 틴더오데 담자와 가서 남비 따tab그나래 담자와 코랑게 따데 코랑게 아니 초이샤세나 다 코랑게 켈렌도 데레세야시 제그르다 다 뒤인다 마인세 durkan jongde tani ane konyi pariliya ta waliya takshir se shito ane soba ze pa chundik da mandrik se keba shito tizo changma de ta chinga so keba chetangi ane yochi pecho tangtang mandawa re ane ta nambi ta jogo manche riglam ze ane rikpa rang pecho tangni magi chi ngobo chi yochi pecho tangni keba cheho martina samlo we ko ni rimba tambo nipa simba se tindi mayung ay te tang seri gani tatab chea te chik choching ni rawo de shik tenga tambo tokpa shik ye kur tokpa de kishimbo tesam de kishimbo yinba tene ma tiwa rimba chine le yungwa wa ten rawo de shik tongni tan tini ma tini shik kwa shayi so
And so doubt is really something which brings us this wish to want to know about something, want to know how things are or what something actually is. And without this initial doubt, there is no way that we can engage in any type of work or any type of activity, because we don't have that actual kind of propelling doubt which would move us forward. And this process of doubt which I'm describing, it also kind of resonates with the scientific approach, the scientific method of going through sort of experiments. And this is the slide that I've put up here because I thought it might be quite interesting to compare the scientific approach and the approach in Buddhist philosophy. So the scientific sort of matter goes about from first there's some kind of observation which occurs, which brings about some kind of doubt. So how could this be? How could that be? So the kind of doubt arises, as regards following the observation, which brings about a particular question, which will then make the scientists think, oh, maybe it's like this, maybe it's that, which will be the hypothesis and predicting of what something, the reason for whatever the phenomenon is. Then bringing about the experiment and so forth. The sequence, in the scientific method. And it's actually, in a sense, there's quite a few similarities with the process of debate. I'm sure a few of you are familiar with, So debate always starts with a doubt. It starts with a question, wondering, is this, what's with this, what's with that? And so the debate will always start with this initial sort of questioning, And then there's a promise, a kind of initial sort of, you can think about it as a promise or a kind of root or some kind of main argument which is asserted, by one. And so this argument which is then asserted will be then the topic of debate. Let's check it. Let's see if it holds water. Is it actually true or not? So the process of analysis goes through debate, whether, questioning whether this root kind of argument is valid or not. And so whether in science, the method is generally slightly different. The object of the analysis it generally tends to be some kind of external object. And in Buddhism, the object, but the process that we can actually know similarities between these two.
ane ta dele yam rawa chi khande yor sena tseri gana le ta ane roina ta tangbo tokba sangke tesum kenge sena te ane kansa tangbo tre ane keba chenge kansa tangbo tene ma ane chi soja sena ta chopa chenge tene taje chenge tsama kansa tangbo rangi gani soso rangi tene chene ma ramba chi joko ya shi chagdo ta nanda di nga so ne choba chodong ramba la jana nambi ta ten ro ina tan tangbo ne thesum sangke tokpa sengke te kansa tangbo re kansa tangbo di thiwa chenge te kansa tangbo di chi ta ina chopa chenge te chopa sena da tamjan ro kelen ro chenge du sere jongde kansa niba di che go yer kansa niba jongde pege ta soso le ya mini pari le ya chopa che gongde ane ta chi tamjawa sena denge di korang chopa che 다데 초바데 다단 죽단 죽도 문두시온데 메기 심직 체크한 정도데 다 안남비 가르치 그래 르바 치온데 단단가 주차슴 그르 빠세시 살슴세 땅양다 그 남자세시 시네 디 좀시디 나래 아니 참마디 디 좀시 나래 네버티 조고요레 단데 다기 강로 주바 나신게 아시아차 세난다 디네 아니 네 니바데 참마디 나니 네 니바도 숨바데 타이나 네 당보데 딘디 강고 말에 어데온데 디 착심 그르바세 디 나로를 지니 다지 여치로 되시는다 다지 제가 네 탐람로 요나 지 자쇼로 되리 아니 세링로 요나 다지 여치른다 말아 코란야 다지 제가 아니 바기 유르라 빠베 아니 Charles in the Yuchi Ramadash Pechutayura. Or in that day, Mandawa Chando, that indeed Yungurema, the Chidan Ching, Jerum do the Dawashi Tons.
Again, la kiran sasum ki ripatik ti ngati sasum sana ti tari na lo tirbe. Sapsum.
Yeah, Sasum, and it's Sasum Grubas, Tayang, the Namshaz, and Shochi kept the Chaps,
Tire.
Sasum.
Lasso. And so, although there are some similarities between the process, the sort of scientific process of sort of analysis and research and the Buddhist one, there are also some differences. And one difference which I noticed between the two is that from the scientific approach, though, there is the doubt and the questioning which arises is coming from one person, yeah? And on top of one person having the questioning, it's this same person which is going to put forward an hypothesis, which is going to put forward a prediction, and which is going to do the experiment. So it's all happening, in a sense, by one person, yeah? On the other hand, in Buddhist philosophy, when debate arises, we have the doubt and the questioning is given by one individual, yeah. One individual puts forward a question, or because of some type of doubt that they've had. Then by putting this question forward, another person, a second individual, will develop some kind of hypothesis, you know, will sort of present a sort of the root kind of argument or the main idea will be then established, yeah, by another person. And then afterwards, so we have these two individuals, afterwards the analysis of this hypothesis or the prediction which has been done by the second individual is then debated, yeah. And in the process of this debate, it is used this sort of three sort of point analysis, which is presented in the Tariq literature, which is the logic, the signs and reasoning, or these kind of process of looking at the pervasion and the counter pervasion between two phenomena. So this is the method which is used to go through and to unpack this phenomena. And this process of logical analysis, like I mentioned before, within the three categories of phenomena, mainly focuses on the second type of phenomena, yeah, the phenomena which are slightly hidden, okay? And this is, so what I've noticed is this is the kind of the difference, yeah? Because scientists, instead of going through this kind of process of debates, yeah, and this, they don't use this sort of 3-point analysis. Science will use a sort of various tools, yeah, to examine and to study the object, sort of, you know, machinery in a sense, to go through the different tests and experiments.
Ani tatab gandini kiba chetang di tat tambo nana jang shamba sinandra tambo rilam jang ikap sinandra tindi che tini soso sasam garikba ani ta tenlam pamne tambo minyi parile ya tiwa tilenchi tini do ikabla tantan tindi geram si chagres tayina jiz ya soso yang rani ge ta chi gom nyamlen da tindi rambale ya shi ikablena ani ta chi khansa tamba rani ge tini kiba chini drogo ya jire ma ta yang te khansa niba tan samsam soso yang chi Tivando Lena Toba Doina, Yang Toba, and Susu again, and I am the touching Kepatindilia, and Susu and the chick Yam Tokorambas in Susu Jelaya Tachi, Nyonso Carachona, Tusoya, ne Jenny, Tindishiki, Tinichin Dro there, or Tindishirete, Cableonchi, Musi, Sopasia, Tindig, number the Kachishigumaris, Ya, and Susu Yamlingaramba, Rangan and Dronde, Tatambo Soba, Tamborilam Giant water. Tena shenge bagi ane tsobi namsha shebi kabla andini chagrese to tere.
Tisangena kiran ki sumbate tsamsam la tsopat yondu karlabkure. Jushma la tsopat subu kumare kashi susurang nyamnyong ki kone yan sugi lamata nyamnuti labcha gyapne tende chi gomne susurang digi sebu tende chi yonyani topa tende rantop ki selya tire kiran ki sumbate ngati jocha te.
Tandandi Tsering tang nyam to Duriata and they gone share de that Zobin Namshaki etan and you Durja Yens Duriatirwa. And the Yanchi
Low.
Namsha Chikpa Jambachin Drogo Grisinat and Drogo Mare and a child name but the Dina Soso Yamle check it in the to Andayona and this was over the Nilia Shiki into a Tindishiris. What they catch it.
So here I've presented these different sort of methods, yeah, and I've presented one method which is more the scientific method, one, which is more the sort of Buddhist sort of approach of debate. And so I'm not trying to present these different ones as one being better than the other and one is better than the other. It's really kind of circumstantial, and which one is to be used at what time, and it is, very important to kind of use these different approaches and to, while you're engaging in these, to reflect and to be critical of each one of them.
다 되네 다기 강의 시간 신경서 아니 다 대좀세야 들이야 남기 남비 대직시용데 대좀래야 아니 자위체니 니체 다 답에지디 말씀 강의 저셔는 저기도 다기 강의 주시 차례 빼나지 대좀세용데 로들이야 자자자 담바 초치는 좀 마토야 로직이야 아니 차실이야 다 가르소리 제린도 니윤 용지 같이 시그레스 남기 남비 다직 아니 그 제린도 야샤자타메 지기네 초실은 좀 마토야 초니기 그 제린도 연조식 딘디지래 세비 갑리나 단삼점래야 아니 베네 돈다디 강래 다다시 파체와 돈다디 강래 밥토야 직체 삼점래 아니 로디 제린도 니는 식체 정도네 제리 직대 돈다디다 장랑디 줘야 이나야 단데 주르직데 돈다디다 아니 제와요 강실라 아니 야차르지 마토네 야차 tukchu dunchete 로 아니 식체한테 돈다디다 장랑디 줘야 직체 삼점래 야차 다 dunchi 야초지 돈다디 타니요요 강실에 양 야차 하마데 아니 직 돈다디당 아니 도청도 아니 사울은 쿼르티에 직 딘디유리 직체 삼성의 야생업중 없이 다다 아니 돈다대당 돈다디 강래 야생업줄로 지요하대 아니 돈다대당 도초대야 야생업줄로 딘디 전에 대좀로 릭스면서 치그래 돈이 좀 문제 찬양 봐야지
그래서 그래
원요는 더 참아라
됐야
진행되는
Okay. So here we kind of looked at these two types of doubt up until now, yeah? And now let's move into the division of three, yeah? This kind of main division of three of doubts, which is referring to the doubt which is kind of, tending towards fact, yeah? Which is kind of, drawn towards the factual, drawn to what is right, yeah? And then you have one which is not, which is drawing towards the non-factual, which is drawing towards what is incorrect. And then you have the type of doubt which is kind of 50-50 in a sense. So it's 50% on towards the fact, 50% towards the non-factual. Yeah. So when we think about the doubt tending towards the fact, this means that, for example, you have 60% of your mind which is tending towards fact, and you've got 40% or which is tending towards non-fact, yeah, or it could be 70% and 30% like this, yeah. And it's the same when you just flip it, when you're thinking of doubt tending towards non-fact. It means that the majority of your mind, let's say 70% of your mind, is going towards the non-fact, and you've got a 30% left which is tending towards fact. And then you've got the 50-50 one, which is the last category, which is a kind of equal type of doubt. You have an equal doubt towards what is factual and what is non-factual.
Yeah, Montenegro, pena, that's also pena. Depend on Susan, Pacho, meeting to Wayana, that is also worshipati. Pache, that Yasha Chick Karzora, Yasha Tukchi Dunchit in the Tachuyana. Ti Lode, in an Tanda Yasha Tamba Tamache, Ti Parik de Leon Tesco, Gotiendoshi. Yacha Jatamba Rese, La Matoya, Yacha Dunchu, Yacha Tangi, Moshipat Rendu Subsumrish, Pogi Meeting Thomson Derwa. What the Nendo in Ti Lodeleon, and is Nichikin where, and each Yacha Tatsumches in under you should is Koyan, Tamacho Hadia, Tindu Lodeleon, Karzore, and it's a easier than I'm getting Chilari. Yani netan shamba chikina oh that jacha jatam jacha jagna gita jacha dunchi jacha mare samba samlang khorde donda la so so ani drobo de yin ba la yang mo te mare sam ta ta ki kong jwa na shire tin do ta kong te din di ani nga so le ya ri ndam ma da yong de ya ta te so ta ani sam sam le pe pen to ya do ta te so so nga so ta chi sam la ta ne ko ra ta sam so le din di te sum chong ya ti so so le ya ane da mambo ji le ya ane chi sebo chong ya ze ya ta ya ne sam sam le so so ya chi ti ane te sum de wang ge so so ya chi ya cha ja tam ba ane i che ma chong de ti wang ge so so le ya chi ta nyin ka se ndo tin di le mambo ji chi ane trol do ya se na da nyin ka le chi ndo ma nyin ka la za ma ndo ya do tin di gang le pen to ya ma da kang da ane te sum de le ya chi ge de kyo nyi ga yo de ngo so yang chi cho chi ne te yang ta tang chi nam ji nga so me se na le nyo na de yo de shi re ya.
So to illustrate doubt with an example, we can think about if we see somebody walking down the street and we are about 60 or 70% sure that they are our friend. And, we see some kind of shape down the street and we think, oh, that's probably, so-and-so. And so we have 70 or 60% sort of certainty, and there's 30% which is unsure. Yeah. So this is the kind of quality of mind here which we're describing when we're talking about doubt. It's this kind of two-pointed mind in that sense. And on the other hand, we have, sometimes this kind of, as opposed, instead of having a 60 or 70% certainty, we have a 60 or 70% uncertainty. There's a lack of, we are uncertain, we are unsure that person over there is our friend, and we think, no, they're probably not my friend. They're most definitely not my friend in that sense, yeah. So it's not an important thing to think about is that doubt is not 100%, good, negative or positive in a sense, because we can think that doubt in some situations, when we have doubt, it actually protects us from a lot of sort of dangers and difficulties. Yeah. And so we can see through our experience that doubt sometimes brings about positive things and in other situations brings about negative things.
Okay. So ta tindi ta chi ani ta tesum se na da tesum nang ta ngo so ga chi tesum da le yang chi ta gar so ran so so le kyun chum bu che tesum chi tang te shi da kyun che me chi me se na le shu ta chi no kyun ro de ni che me che tindi ta kang da tindi ge tesum ri mo bo shi bi na ta chi tesum be ge so so ge cha wa len ji ga le ke che tindi ge tesum ani ri de tā nāmbi tātram kāne te kāndishi tōku kōre, te sōmte tāktāng kāndishi tōku kōre ēsiyāntu. Tindī kāpli nā, tā chik kō rimbāndishi mā sōna chik tindīshi mā āni yōre, tā te ngā sō yāng tiri sīpo rāngdā chōng tā kāpo re tīngyō re, tā te tsindē shē gyāyā sīpo shi ngē gyab tō yā tab te wōni shi gyāyā kāpo ni chāsā re. Kāntar kārē sēn, pē nā tāngbō ngā sō tindī wā tāngbō re shē lōtō sōne pē nā pēn sōn rō shā na, tā chik gyāshā gyā tāmbā, tā chik ngā sō nām chi ta kalore ta pasho ta peja ta ki kong la peja andu chena pasho de ta susu chokbo yimba kangji la dengi jasha ja tamba ngi chokbo remdu samba tindi ge ta chik dan zan de na te so mare te le ya loto se korangi yani samlo de loba shi rangi yani khorde ya shi do oni loto tende we loto de dobala ane chi nambi ta tanjur ze shi kashi shi ore ta tanjur ko ze yang ko le riba ge ne ko tang shi tindi ji tangbo tanjur ze shi ko le ya ne riba chi ko ne riba ti ta chik de re mundu samba de chu ne tangbo tini tezung ngo chu gir ko tangbo ta chik de chokbo re mundu samba de samlo ji na te le yang tanjur ze riba chi tang yo riba de ko te riba de ko we te la te ne o da pa che ngi chokbo yin na me na samba samlo chu je chi tezum je chi. Okay, 태좀 계차위 질린 다 태좀 대양 도고 태좀 데 도와라 디 질이양 중앙양 다세 시과요래요 디 질이양 르바시 고고요래 때권에 아니 태좀 zemпа기 태좀 데 도고 뭐 딘디 있네 다 칸터 렘베르메네치네 타마들 다기 강리 지와노시 땅양 다세 척심세 남샤데 아니 자치 렘바 심바디 강리 신이 고고요래 딘디 지마 지 가르스 rimba tangbo niba simba china ma ane samlo de ma ti yong go yor tindi yu tamlam shire tati tsama tili nga su de sebo ndo rang de chungu ma re de ina ta chidang tindi ji yo za sam trishi yang su su ga chik kwa na jima yang ti gang le yang lob jong de chi rimbe se wa cha yung gurwa
Yella kiranti yangertigi kiran telwa tigi kola michik pena nge chopo ta yimbe yina yang nge chopo maje tende chik samna ani kiran tigi kare kiran telwa tende kune ani kare chigore nga telwa tende go yandu nge te apeche nga tende samlo te tembare mendu tende chik samlo jebo gyabya tende chik yong sigire tere
ya
kiranti
samlo
yangerti
le ta don la so so chobo yimba kanji la tengi chobo ja she ja thamba re mudu samlo shi pere da te pension samre
low
Tindi
low low
tachi tere mado samlo te dobar cheba la yang rikpa tengyur se chi kwaya yore rikpa chi kwane. Ti
ale le
ten tong re sa na, o ta pache kog labdang le tena se chi, ti kashe ti ma tengyur kwa tang le ten, kashi pache ngi chokbo insa re ma re sam, taki tachi te ma re se lo to do ne, ti tachi te ma re samba samlo ti tsu, te zungu ngo tsi ke chi kuwa. Ta pache yena me na samba samlo chi. 다 있나 만나 삼네 단다 아니 직 그요 말에 디 일로디야 아니 도고요라 디로드 메버체발라 디니 니바드리 중앙세 시코야시 다 대소야 어딘지 치는 줘야시 고 르메르메지
lasso aniti dopa kare te som ti sei ala ani ti sum ti gitari ti chik tablan
중앙야
kurwa
중앙세 데 고코리 중앙세 데 니바드리 중앙야 다세시 또
bunga lasso ya okay okay
근데
그치
중앙 때 다 진진 걸로디 도래 디니 신이 땅양다 고코리 스마티 처슴세다 숨바트리 땅양도 권이 줍자도 그게 돈다 원이도 하고 싶고 어디
lasso
어디 그 저는
okay okay ya ani nge gang ya yoria kitashin chinda so in relation to doubt and thinking about like I just mentioned, you can't say that it's 100% good or bad, and we kind of need to reflect on what doubt is problematic, what type of doubt is faulty in our daily life, and what type of doubt is not faulty and not problematic. Yeah, and so we need to see what type of doubt is stopping us from engaging on particular things, and if it is stopping us and preventing us from going down some type of action which would be wholesome, productive, then we need to figure out a way to be able to eliminate such a doubt. Think of another example as the way we eliminate the way we go. What I want to present now is this process of stop and eliminating doubt. Okay, if we've identified that it's something which needs to be eliminated in the first place. So let's take this example of I see somebody and I think, although they are my friend, I think that they're not my friend. I can't tell them apart. I'm not able to identify them properly. And I'm 100% convinced that they're not my friend. So here, there's not even a doubt. Because remember, doubt is this 50-50 state of mind. It's this two-pointed mind. Yeah. Here, I'm 100% convinced that that person before me is not my friend. So this is what we can say is a wrong idea or a wrong thought. Very different from doubt. Yeah. So here, what I do is that I have this wrong idea about something, and I need to present to this state of mind, or to the other person, I guess, who has this wrong idea. I need to present them the sort of the consequence of that statement. It's in logic, it's called just let me get the exact word. Yeah, you're looking at the contradictory consequence, yeah, of this wrong idea. This is what the actual terminology is. Okay. And so once you present the contradictory consequence of this mistaken idea, of this wrong idea, you're able to switch the mind. The person's like, okay, maybe it's not quite like that. Maybe the person is friend. Maybe I wasn't quite about that. Yeah. So you've brought something from 100% being a wrong idea into the realm of doubt, yeah? And you can't leave it at doubt. Doubt is not enough clarity at that point. And so then what is brought forth is we used upon these three signs of reasoning, yeah? And so we will be using, again, what is this? Just let me get the right word up. we'll be using these three sort of these 3-point reasonings, which are presented in the science and reasoning, with the various the pervasions, the 3-point pervasion and so forth. And it will be something, for example, the proof of statement. And so basically by presenting these different authentic signs of the authentic reasons, we're able to stop, to prevent, to eliminate this out, and mind to having a complete sort of to be completely sort of confident or certain in one way. There's no longer this split mind at that point. So this is kind of the secret of shifting it. So I'm not hoping for you guys to understand completely this process of eliminating doubt straight away. I'm doing my best to kind of explain it, and I'm doing my best to translate it. So it's, but just so you have an idea that there is a presentation as regards the sequence, how one eliminates this doubt.
So tanda dinga peja de chi dropo shi kang so so peja sia penjun sare ma de namji na dindi ka sho de so so dropo yin da men sia dindi kang le dindi ge shimba den jo gwa yo ma ko so pe tap de wo shi ro tan di chi lo to sia de namji ge samlo ta chi so ru ba ge chuk ko ya ba gi ni dindi ge lo to sia de pe ge ni kar so ta chi so so samlo Chingemba sena, Tindi samlo dikjase, Tindi samlo dosho, teso dobar chevala, Tindi gangliang, Tesum saya, Tindi gangliang, ta tesolia tandan diga, Rimbati, Kachishivore, or dere modayon, Chi, Pagi Namji, Tesum Taki, Chusa dea, the sort of quantity Rimba Dogayomara, what in this she chose.
And one last thing I would like to add is that, as regards the example that I just gave you, that the point of the sequence, in shifting and stopping and eliminating doubt, the point of this is to shift our mistaken minds, to shift our misconceptions, to shift our negative and negative ways of thinking, And so it's by going through this process that I've just described that one is able to bring about these negative minds where one is 100% convinced in negativity into the realm of doubt, and then be able to shift it. So it's not just about sort of random things that you have doubt about in your everyday life. It's much more sort of specific in relation to these mistaken minds. Do you have any questions by any chance on this topic or on any previous topic that we've covered?
Yeah.
How do I identify if it's afflictive doubt versus helpful doubt? What doubt? Afflictive doubt and what? Versus helpful doubt. How do we identify this is fine. Okay, so the question is how is one able to identify whether one's doubt is afflicted or whether it's a helpful type of doubt, Tsering soso tigi kari tetsom yona kandes nyumonchenki tetsom yina yang nyumonche mayimba digi tetsom yina kandes songojin tende chetukire tetsom tende chungyondu kandes chetukire.
Cho pe putu ra taina ding chik some tata se at the condition de shajam gona tata akoma sundi ro ta chuchi gare ta ki gangle ya nyumon che tisum asungon chen che kable ya condition gon je sha yore zondi ta chik ane ta ki gande ne ba ta tata shiro kanda dinindo ane susu ta chik samlo de yawe chosen gonanda ane chik ta gewase tanye jana ma jana chaba me do counter so samlo chi champagne samlo inanda yana chi semne shete pape tindi so samai ba mi shamba le na chi shete pape yo tindi samlo tindi ta counter tindi champagne samlo yana chi ane chi ta pensem tindi yon sigre counter ane tindi ane yonale ya ane cake chinke te som chile ona so sem shiva le ya sen shide mayonwa sense de yon le ke chen ke tesum gre tinji gre soleya nyoma chang ke tesum ze ke shigre te yon so so semba ane chik sem ding ni chik semba ma kya so ke tesum jing gro ju zo de dere ma de yon chik ko tesum dam ji ji te pasha de karina mina se nga su mu ken thong ya dan am chok ko ya ti pe chik mi chik ke shi ko sa na ding chok bo ke na semba tinji 대좀 제가 저저들 아니 소소리야 너게 간에 지금 말이쇼 저 소소 셈바 찍도야 진짜게 대좀 되나 대녀만 챙게 대좀 해야 돼 저들이
So it's a really good question, and it's something which is very difficult to sort of define in a sense, but the best kind of answer I can give you is in relation to thinking about a doubt which is helpful in a sense. Yeah, a doubt which is helpful would be well, let's say, for example, there's something you're reflecting upon. Yeah, you're having some kind of, we don't even need to call it a kind of virtuous thought. We can just think about some kind of wholesome kind of wish, or a sort of wholesome altruistic kind of attitude or aspiration, or kind of wish to be of benefit to others. Yeah. So let's say you have this kind of sort of stream of thought which is going through your mind, and you get interrupted. Yeah. You become kind of interrupted by some kind of doubt. Yeah. And some kind of doubt which is going to disturb that peace in your mind. So this doubt which is afflictive an afflictive doubt is something which is interrupting your kind of mental peace, which is interrupting that kind of mental balance that you have. It's preventing, it's interrupting, and it's kind of breaking that sort of that peace which is present in your mind. And it's something which is, this afflictive doubt is something really which causes trouble in a kind of much more deeper level of the mind, and in a sense we could say, you know, in the deeper level of the heart at a certain level. It doesn't have to do, you know, afflictive doubt with, you know, oh, maybe I heard this thing, or maybe I heard that thing, or maybe I saw this person or that person. It doesn't have to really do with this kind of sensorial level of doubt, because it doesn't have that much ramification. It's a much more kind of a disturbance which is created at the level of the mind, and in the kind of more on the level of the inner peace kind of being disturbed. So that's more what I would describe as being the afflictive doubt. That's what it interrupts.
Yeah, what in this month we shall share me to that.
That's all I have to say about that.
And then shamba to a man also didn't need some shop.
So if there's no other questions, then we'll just leave it at that for today.
So yeah, also Chinese are big or they tend on to work in a company. Jabber. She's always out of my temping in Gora, this shows. So, she'll someone.
Okay, so thank you very much. I just did a dedication prayer, and yeah, see you soon. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Teacher na again la. Teacher na Jayo. Jayo again la.